Good evening, everyone. Hello, Dr. Les. How are you? How are you, Dr. Les?
Shalom, Rav. How are you? Shabbat Tov. How are you, Rav?
Baruch Hashem. How are you doing?
All good, Baruch Hashem. All good. So, can I give a
news.
little update? So there is actually
Yes.
quite amazing news. The U.S. Defense Secretary for the UK, for England, the United Kingdom, the Defense Secretary is somebody called Grant Shapps, and he's Jewish, and he's proud to say that he's Jewish. And his family came from Eastern Europe, and he said that his grandfather and his uncle, they fought for the British forces in the Second World War. So it's amazing that we have a Jewish defense secretary. Previously, it was 30 years ago, Malcolm Rifkin, he was also the previous, it was 30 years ago, a Jewish defense secretary. But that's quite a big deal. And it's very good that we have now, at this moment in time. But Rob, I don't know if they showed it on television. I'm sure they did, because it was not so pleasant. On Shabbat, we had terrible violence in Tel Aviv. You had the Eritrean asylum seekers. And what's amazing is that you have two fractions, those who support the president and those who ran away, who were anti the president from Eritrea. So they mamash were like prepared to burn down the buildings, and became very, very violent. And the police had to get involved. And it's a major problem, because there's, I think, over 15,000 Eritreans, and they're not Jewish, and they're just like migrants that are here, but it's not such a simple situation. And whatever Israel does, they'll get criticized for.
Correct.
But it's just unbelievable. Anyway, but on a more positive note, the Moroccan, one of the ministers from Morocco, the chairman of, I think, their Senate, is going to be coming to visit and will be speaking at the Knesset. And this is something unbelievable. I don't know if any of you, when you came to Israel, you went via Egypt Air. So I did it a few times when I went to South Africa, and I stopped over in Cairo. And there's the Ben Ezra synagogue, the Beit Knesset Ben Ezra. It's in the old city in Old Cairo. And the government, it's amazing, they've restored that shul to its former glory, which is actually quite unbelievable, because they're putting in money to restore Beit Knesset. And that's, they say the Rambam, he actually davened in that shul, and that's the shul where they had the Cairo Geniza. And fragments, and a lot of the, it was Schechter, he actually came from England, and he took most of the contents of that Geniza, and he took it back to England. And I've actually seen a lot of those. We have a lot of those, like Sforim, that were in the Geniza, and there's a letter that was written from the brother of the Rambam. And we have the Rambam's signature on another letter that was from the Geniza. So it's a very, very important, where they had the Geniza, but everything was taken away. And but it's just unbelievable that the Egyptian government have decided to restore it. And here they have a picture of the shul in, I don't know if you can see it, but it's quite incredible, the shul in Cairo. And I don't know if South Africans can go, but I went once on my South African passport, and my Israeli passport, I had to give it into the embassy, and I went. And I actually went to the shul. It was a few years ago, not that many years ago. And I did a tour, and it's actually quite an incredible shul. And it's from the 12th century. So, it's amazing what happens. Every day new things are happening, and positive things, and, we just have to look for the good.
Sure, Dr. Les, thank you very much for the update. Okay, Shavua Tov, everyone. As I mentioned on the group, we're going to speak about Tashlich. What is Tashlich? Where's the source for it? Where do we do Tashlich? When we do Tashlich, we're going to tackle. And in the end, we'll bring the spiritual part about it, Be'ezrat Hashem. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, ve'Hashem alenu berachamav yaviach. I would like to dedicate the show ונשוא לו אסתר קדן בת קציה, מרדכי בן רחמה, הרב אברהם חיים בן אליעזר יעקב, תמר בת זהבה, יעקב סלומון בן פחה, דבורה רות בת בילה, שושה בלימה בת מרדכי בצלאל, מלכה רג'ינה בת ג'ויה, קטי גורג'יה בת פחה, נשמתם תהיה צרורה בצור החיים. Also, I would like to dedicate the show in health of Menashe Najim ben Farha, Liora bat Miriam, הרב משה בן ביבטיה, הרב משה בן דבורה, הרב שלמה יהודה בן דליה, הרב אברהם בן מרינה, דבורה בת אסתר, אורנה בלומה בת מרים, שיינה קיילה בת חנה, מרדכי דוד בן לאה, חיים נחום בן פסע רזה הכהן, אהובה קדן בת טלי אסתר, ברוך בן שרה חיינה, צבי בן חווה, שמואל מאיר בן שושה בלימה, יהודה הלל בן שולמית לאה, משה אברהם בן חנה ריבה, חיה ציפורה בת רחל, איילה עדן בת רבקה, טובה ליבה בת רחל, נחום זאב בן שינה רבקה, יהושע חיים בן חיה לאה, חנה משה בת רבקה, חנה משה רבקה בת זלדה. Please God, רפואה שלמה to all of them ולכל חולי עמו בית ישראל. רבותיי, the subject of the shiur, Tashlich. What do we know about Tashlich? So, first of all, let's start. What is Tashlich? Tashlich, it means to throw. The translation of the word Tashlich, it's to throw. And we know that the main idea behind Tashlich is to throw the sin. When we shake in the hem of the jacket or the pocket, okay, when we take the pocket and we shake them. What is the idea behind it? The idea behind it is to sweeten the judgment that there is against us. And we're doing it on Rosh Hashanah. We'll explain everything step by step. Where is the source for that davening? Where is the source for that tefillah? So the source for it actually been found around the 14th century. Yeah, 14th century. By the Maharil. The Maharil was Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Halevi Mulin. He born in the city of Minsk in Germany. He born around 658 years ago. And he was the spiritual leader of the European Jewry, that means the Ashkenazi Jewry in Europe, during the 14th and the 15th century. Okay, he decided that he's gonna, the first time that we see it, it is, and he mentioned it. And he actually mentioned it, and it's mentioned in his, there's some noise, let me just mute everyone. All right, everyone is muted, yeah. He mentioned it in his article, in his words, in his book, and there he say, and he bringing actually the source from what it say in the prophet Micha, "V'tashlich bimtzulot yam kol hatotam." That means, Hazal explained that you should throw deep down to the sea all their sin. That means throw to the sea, to the deeps of the sea all their sin. So that's where actually the minhag, the custom of Tashlich started. Remember the Maharil, Rabbi Yaakov ben Moshe Halevi Mulin, okay? It's called the Maharil. He was like in charge about all the Jewish in Europe, Eastern Europe, and or not only Eastern, Western Europe, all over Europe. He was in charge about all the Ashkenazi Jewry, and actually he was the first one that bring in that minhag. When is the appropriate time to say Tashlich? So the appropriate time to say Tashlich, it's on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. It's a custom that people go, if they live by the sea, they go to the sea. If there is a river in the city or in the neighborhood, they go to a river. If there is no river, any source of water, a pond, anything that can be, and there we're standing, and we're saying the tefillah of the Tashlich. Why? That we basically saying that we want to get rid of all the sin that we done. The question that become is like this here. What's happened if the first day of Rosh Hashanah fall on Shabbat, like we're having this year? The first day of Rosh Hashanah is Shabbat, so these different minhagim on it. According to the Ashkenazim doesn't say Tashlich on Shabbat, and the reason for it, they say that they don't say Tahanun. You don't add up Tahanun on Shabbat. Okay? Therefore, they say Tahanun on a second day, it will be on a Sunday. After Minha. After you daven Minha, we say Tashlich. The Sfaradim, the custom of the Sfaradim is to say on the first day, no matter what, if it's Shabbos or not Shabbos, they say that you have to say Tashlich after Minha, even on the first day, okay? As long that when you're going to do Tashlich, you must not gonna go to a place that there is no Eruv. That means if you're going to a pond, you're going to a river, it have to be in a Eruv, okay? There is a different Kehilot that doesn't say Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah. We'll get to it also, that they say that we don't say Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah. We actually do Tashlich during the weekday, that between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That means Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, the 10 days of repentance between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Those the three ideas when we saying Tashlich, and some congregations say on the first day that even it's fall on Shabbat, like the Sfaradim. The Ashkenazim say on the second day of Rosh Hashanah that they say Tashlich if it's fall on Shabbat. Others, and we will explain now who during the show, who say not, why we don't say Tahanun at all on Yom Rosh Hashanah. Where is the source, first of all, to say Tashlich near water? Why did the Maharil, when they constitute for us to say that, he constitute for us to say Tashlich, he doesn't mention near water. Where is the source that we have to do it near water? So first of all, I have to explain that the minhag, there is no source, halachically source, I have to be, that the greatest poskim like the Rambam and the Rif, they doesn't mention that minhag. Okay? Even the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, doesn't mention that minhag. So where is that minhag come to go to a place that is water, that have to be watered? Where is that source come from? The source come, in matter of fact, from the Rama. Who was the Rabbi? Rabbi Moshe Isserlich. Rabbi Moshe Isserlich, born in Krakow. Krakow is a city in Poland. By the way, he was the rabbi of Krakow. He born 493 years ago. And in Bahaga'ah, in Siman Taf Kuf Pei Gimel, that means 583, and Saif Katan Bet, he said, Ve'olchim el hanahar, we're going to the river, because in Krakow, in Poland, there is a big river that crosses the city of Krakow. Lomar Tashlich Lomar ve'tashlich b'metzulot yam kol hatotam. So the first source that we see that actually speak to go to a place that there is water, like a river, like a sea, to do the tashlich, or a pond, anything to have to do with water, it's from the Rama, Rabbi Moshe Isserlich. And he actually bringing the source, v'tashlich b'metzulot yam kol hatotam. That means and throw into deeps of the sea all their sin. That means that it has to be near water. Okay, why dafka near water? What's the hidush here? We have to understand why dafka a water. So I'm going to bring Be'ezrat Hashem at least 7 different opinions to us to understand. In Midrash Tanhuma been written by the sage Rabbi Tanhuma. Rabbi Tanhuma, in his commentary on Midrash Tanhuma on Parashat Vayera, They speak when Avraham Avinu took Yitzhak Avinu to the Akedah on Table Mount. Where is that? Har Moriah, Bet HaMikdash. When they're gone, say Rabbi Tanhumai explaining in the Midrash that Avraham Avinu took Yitzhak Avinu and they was walking to the Akedah. And on the way in a valley just below Har Moriah, the place there that we know it's like a depth. There's like a deep. You go down to the depths like a valley, and the valley turns suddenly to full of water, like string of water. And Avraham Avinu and Yitzhak Avinu was crossing that water, that river, and the water reached to the chin of Avraham Avinu. And Avraham Avinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ba'u mayim ad nafesh, the water arrived until the soul. Ve'im en ani o Yitzhak bni יכולים לעבור בו, if me and my son Isaac cannot cross that stream of water, who's going to sanctify your name? Who's going to sanctify your name? Say Avraham Avinu. Immediately HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard that, and he shouted on the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, the Satan, and all the water disappeared. And Avraham Avinu and Yitzhak Avinu gone to the Akedah. And the merit of that, said the Midrash Tanhuma, that's why we're doing it next to a stream of water, where there is water. Why Dafka water? To bring the merit of the Akedah that was when? On Rosh Hashanah. That we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, maybe we sin. But those sin, we want to get rid of them. What is the merit to rectify the sin? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu will erase those sin? That we stand by the water to remind HaKadosh Baruch Hu when Avraham Avinu took Yitzhak Avinu to the Akedah and he had to cross that stream of water. That's Midrash Tanhuma. There is another interpretation that brought by Baal HaLibushin. Baal HaLibushin was Rabbi Mordechai Yaffe. Rabbi Mordechai Yaffe, born in a city of Prague in the Czech Republic. He born around 493 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And he bring a different explanation. And he say, you know what? The main reason that we're going to the sea, because the Jewish people compare to fish. The fish in the sea think that they're free, and they're happy until a fisherman come and throw the net to the sea, and those that get caught, get caught. Say Mordechai Yaffe, the person, we as human beings feel free in this world. We do whatever we want. But when we go to the sea and we see that how a fish can be caught easily or in a pond or in a river, it reminds us that we also in this world, we think that we're free, that there's no one to look, no one to watch, no one in charge, until the day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu then pick up the hooks and the nets and take those people that you want to take them for the world to come. He said that it's to remind us that we're not free human beings. When you're standing by the sea, by the river, by the stream, or by the pond, wherever there is water, it's to remind us, not that the fish is free. He thinks that he's free, but he's not free. It's to remind us to make tshuva. That's Baal HaLibush, Rabbi Mordechai Yaffe. There's another interpretation why Dafka it has to be source of water, and like this. In the olden days, when they used to crown a king, they used to take him to a sea, by the sea, or a river. There is no sea in that place, in that country, and they used to crown him there. In Rosh Hashanah, one of our main job in Rosh Hashanah to crown the Almighty on us. What do? we're going to the sea, we're going to a river, we're going to a stream, or wherever there is a pond. And we're saying, and we're saying Tahanun. And we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu the same, like human being crown their king on him, we crown you, the Almighty, as king on us, the Jewish people. Okay? And we ask for forgiveness. So basically what we're doing in the Tashlich, it's we crowning the Almighty on us on Rosh Hashanah. That's one of the most important thing on Rosh Hashanah to do. That all the time when a person daven, I'm crowning Kadosh Baruch Hu as a king on me. And that's one of the first thing that a person has to do on Rosh Hashanah. And Hazal say it's a sgula, it's a remedy that Kadosh Baruch Hu will accept his atonement. There is another interpretation why Dafka honesty. The Mefarshim explain when a person go to the sea and he look at the sea and he see those huge waves that want to wash the world, as Hazal say in the Gemara, each wave want to wash the world. That means to create again flood. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu promised that not going to be flood. So what happened? We see grain of sand that stop them. And a person start to realize that the Kadosh Baruch Hu actually put boundaries for those waves, that where they're going to stop. Where's it? By the sand, the grain of the sand. That's mean, and that moment that you see those huge waves trying to wash the world, you start to realize and understand the existence of Kadosh Baruch Hu in the world. So the Tashlich have to be by the water, explain the Mefarshim. You know why? Because by the water, number one, it reminds you that the existence of the Almighty, the creator of the world. Number two, like we explained, it's to bring the merit of Abraham Avinu that he took Yitzhak to the Akedah. Number three, it's to remind us that we're not free in this world, like say Baal Libush. Number four, that we're crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu on us, the same like other nation crowning their king, where? By the sea. So we're crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu on us, where? Dafka, where there is water. Okay? Another interpretation that we have to do, that we have to explain, that in Rosh Hashanah, it's we crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu on us. Why Dafka on Rosh Hashanah? We crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu and we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are our king. You are our king. When do we do that? In Rosh Hashanah. Where do we do it? Where there is water, like they used to do in the olden days. And another interpretation that the Hazal bring, that they say water, it actually represents Hesed, kindness. Okay, and we're going to wherever there is water, if it's a sea, a river, or a stream, or a pond, it doesn't make a difference. And we're standing by the pond and we're asking for forgiveness because we know that the Mahut is mean the meaning of the Almighty, is one of the attributes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is kindness. So we're standing and we're asking for compassion and mercy from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to forgive our sin. That's why we do it dafka, where there is water. Now, we're going to get to a different situation. One of the things that we have to do is to shake the hem or the end of the jacket or the interior of the pocket. We take the pocket out and we shake them 3 times. First of all, why dafka 3 times? 3 times is for hazaka, that we want to get rid of all the sin. And this custom, to say it, what's hiding behind it? Why do we do it? There is different symbol on the pshat of the dvarim that we say that we regret the sins that we done, and we want to get rid of that sins. Not on a pshat of the dvarim, that we don't want anymore those averot that we done. We actually regret. And that's why we hold the hem of the clothes, the end of the clothes, or we take the pocket, the interior of the pocket, and we shake it 3 times. But what's hiding behind it? It's we asking first of all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to forgive our sin, like we explained, and we don't want it. Why is it? That we're throwing it into the sea, that the Satan cannot criticize against us. That's why we put it in the water, that it's going to go deep, that no one can reach to it. Okay. And we explained that we do it 3 times. But what is the deeper meaning behind it? When a person do tashlich, when he shake his clothes, that means that he say that the sins that he done, it's because he got influence. It's not his character trait. That means it's only on the exterior. It's not the interior. That means when a person done avera, it's not his character trait. We're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we got influence, we got Yetzer Hara that caught us, and that's what caused us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to do those averot. And we, as Jewish people, we don't want them. As a matter of fact, we want to get rid of them. So that means that all of those averot, it's not part of our character trait. It's not part of it. It's just an exterior, because we got influence. We got seduced by the Yetzer Hara, and we fell into that trap. But as a matter of fact, we want to get rid of it as soon as possible. So what do? We shake it 3 times. Why dafka 3 times? To show that it's a hazaka, that we don't want those averot. And that's the reason why we take in the pocket and we're shaking it, to show that it's only the exterior. Why are we talking the hem of the clothes? It's not part of us. It's not part of us, those averot, but we want to get rid of it. That's why we shake the hem of the clothes. That's why we do it. And also, that's why we do it 3 times, to show that we don't interesting about the averot. As a matter of fact, the opposite. It's not our character trait. And we're doing hazaka to get rid of it 3 times. And what does it mean, hazaka? Hazaka is when you do 3 times something and you repeat it 3 times, that's become a hazaka. Hazaka that you really want it. But by that we're shaking it 3 times, we show that we don't want those sins. We don't love it, just that unfortunately we fell into that trap. We've been seduced by the Yetzer Hara and he caught us. That's why we're shaking the clothes. We say that there is a minhag for certain people not to say Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah. So in a book, Elef HaMagen is a book that's been written by Rabbi Eliezer Papo. Rabbi Eliezer Papo, born in the city of Sarajevo, in Bosnia. He born, if I'm not mistaken, around 238 years ago, plus minus. And in his book, he said that the main reason that we should not do Tashlich, he bring the pshat of the dvarim. He said because it can cause mixing of men and women together, and it's going to cause eruvia. That means that's going to be a mixing between a male and a female, and it's not good to be like this in Rosh Hashanah. That's Rabbi Eliezer Papo. Okay, Be'elef HaMagen. There is another explanation that brought by the Gaon Mevilna. It's a custom of the Gaon Mevilna, and also Rabbi Haim Mivolozhin. Rabbi Haim Mivolozhin and many others that bring that not to say Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah. By the way, it's also a custom of the Yemenite Jews that they don't say Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah. When do they do Tashlich? Okay, they do Tashlich during the 10 days that between the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Aseret Yemei Tshuva. The Hasidim, most of the Hasidim, Rabotai, most of the Hasidim movement also don't do Tashlich on the day of Rosh Hashanah. They do it after Rosh Hashanah. They don't do Tashlich in Rosh Hashanah. What's the reason for it? They say that after Rosh Hashanah, that we want to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we get rid of him. We don't want to do Tahanun on Rosh Hashanah. That's the idea. So when they do Tashlich, remember again, it's during the 10 days that there is between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But they do it only during the weekday, not on Shabbos. Again, because they don't want to show on a festival or on Shabbos that they're saying Tahanun. That's the main reason. So we learn from here that there is actually 3 different ideas. The one idea is that you do it on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, everyone agree, after Mincha, you do Tashlich. If it's fall on Shabbat, the Ashkenazim doesn't do it. They do it on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. The Sfaradim still do it on the first day, even if it's fall on Shabbat. The second opinion, those that more strict, like we said, the Gaon Mivilna, the Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, the Yemenite, and those that follow the Hasidut. Hasidut is pious. Some of them don't say Tahanun on Rosh Hashanah. They say during the week between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the 10 days, during the weekday. We said that Rabbi Eliezer Papo saying that the main reason not to do Tashlich on Yom Rosh Hashanah, because he said it's going to be a mix in men and women. Become the question, is women have to do? So most of the poskim say if a woman want to do Tashlich, they are allowed. They can do Tashlich. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And we'll see what's the secret behind Tashlich. Why am I saying it? Because we'll see that that sin is not mainly for the woman. It's mainly for the men. Okay, what do we do in a place that, for example, there is no sea, no river, there is no stream? Okay, so if there is a pond, you do a pond. You go to the pond. Okay, but what's happening if you can't find a pond? What you should do? The Mefarshim explain in that case what you do. You go to a place and you open the tap that go inside. You can see the water running to the drain. You can open the kitchen tap and you can see the water running to the drain. And you stand by the drain, okay, or by the tap that's running to the drain. It doesn't make a difference. And you say the Tashlich. Why? Because the water now starts flowing from the tap through the drain until it's reaching wherever it's reached, and it's like a stream. And Hazal explained that in that case you can do when I say Hazal, it's the poskim that you can do Tashlich if there is no river, no sea near you, or no stream of water near you, and there is no pond. You can't find a pond for some reason. Open the kitchen tap or whatever tap is it, okay, and stand by it and say Tashlich. That's the other option that you can do a Tashlich. Now that we explain all of that, I want to explain why we don't do Tashlich in that case before Rosh Hashanah. Because if it is to get rid of the Averot, we should get rid of the Averot before Yom Rosh Hashanah. Why we do Tashlich Dafka in Rosh Hashanah? After Mincha. Rabotai, we have to understand that the secret becomes after Mincha. The secret to it is after Mincha. So I'm going to bring the opinion of the Ramchal. I'm sure that some of you heard the Ramchal, Rabbi Chaim Moshe Luzzatto. Rabbi Chaim Moshe Luzzatto, born in the city of Padova. Padova, it's in the north of Italy also. He born around 316 years ago, the Ramchal. He wrote Mesilat Yesharim, the famous book that he wrote, Mesilat Yesharim. And he actually asked that question. Why we don't do Tashlich before Rosh Hashanah? Why do we have to do it dafka on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, after Mincha? That is question. So the Rambam, the Ramchal actually dealing with that. And he actually bringing the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, Lamed Het Amud Bet, that means 38 folio 2. There Hazal says something very interesting. Hazal say like this. Hazal say, Sha'a Asirit, the 10 days of the day, the 10 hour of the day, so Sha'a Asirit, the 10 day of the day, Sharach. That means Adam Arishon sin. Okay? Sha'a 11 nidon. On the 11th hour of the day, Adam Arishon been judged by the Almighty. בשעה 12 נטרד וסולק לו. נטרד והלך לו. That means הקדוש ברוך הוא, after he judged him, now he been punished, and הקדוש ברוך הוא kicked him off Gan Eden. Until here, that's the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin. Come the Ramchal and explain. We have to understand, the Ramchal said, the reason that we do Tashlich on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, after Mincha, what's happened? HaKadosh Baruch Hu finished to create the world, the Aleph Bet Tishrei. After HaKadosh Baruch Hu finished to create the world, he also created Adam Arishon on Rosh Hashanah. But what's happened then? Adam Arishon sinned and eat from the tree of knowledge. When did he done that sin? Sha'a Asirit me'ayom. 10 hours of the day. That means from the time to sunrise. Calculate 10 hours. Sha'ot zmaniot. Sha'ot zmaniot is very important. Okay. Work it out. When is it? It's after Mincha. Just before sunset. Before Shabbat will come in. That's when Adam Arishon done the sin, the first sin from eating from the tree of knowledge. Say the Ramchal like this. There is here midah keneged midah. Adam Arishon sin when on Rosh Hashanah, on the day of Rosh Hashanah. What is the appropriate time to do rectification for that? The same time that he sinned. When it was after Mincha, just before sunset. That is the appropriate time to do tshuva on Rosh Hashanah. Midah keneged midah. Say the Ramchal like this. He say, יש פה מידה כנגד מידה, ותיקון כנגד תיקון. That means that the same like he sinned before sunset, we going and doing Tashlich. We're doing rectification for the world. That means that we asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nachon that Adam Arishon sinned. And that's the appropriate time to do rectification for the sin of Het Adam Arishon. That's the reason, said the Ramchal, why on Rosh Hashanah, after Mincha, on the first day, if it doesn't fall on Shabbat, to the Ashkenazim, we go and do Tashlich. That's the appropriate time to do Tashlich. Now, nachon, if for some reason people will ask, for some reason, listen, I didn't manage for whatever the case is, so go the second day. This year, it's not a problem. Many people can do second day. And if people didn't done on Rosh Hashanah, he can also do during Aseret Yemei Tshuva. But the main reason that we do in Tashlich Dafka on Rosh Hashanah, Dafka after Mincha of Rosh Hashanah on the first day, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam HaRishon on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu finished to create the world on Rosh Hashanah. So the appropriate time to do atonement is Dafka then. And that's the main reason, Rabotai, that we do Tashlich after Mincha on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. If it doesn't fall on Shabbat, for the Ashkenazim, the Sfaradim do, no matter what, on appropriate Tashlich after Mincha, even if it's fall on Shabbat. What do we learn from here? That the Tashlich, many people think on the Pshat of the Dvarim, it's just to get rid of the sin. No, that's Pshat of the Dvarim, no one denies. The Tashlich, we actually doing it, that we come into HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Averot is not part of our character trait. The Averot, we're not interested about it. But we're also coming by standing by the sea, and we actually bringing the merit of Yitzhak Avinu, that been taken to the Akedah. That we're reminding HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you don't do it for us, remember who? Yitzhak Avinu, that was willing to give his soul for your sake, to sanctify your sake. So the tefillat of Tashlich, nachon that there is, bahalacha there is no source to it. And the Rambam and the Rif and the Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring it. It's a minhag. Again, I say it's a custom. But it's all of those customs is to allow us and to help us to rectify our sin and to erase all our sin. And that's mean to get a free ticket for another year of living. That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write us and seal us in a book of life. So the Tfilat Tashlich, many people say, well, I'm going to walk now to a pond, I'm going to walk up to here. Rabotai, we don't understand what's hiding behind the Tashlich. The Tashlich, it's actually that only helping us, and by that we're doing it, we're doing rectification for the creation. But Adam HaRishon actually caused a problem when he sinned. He actually created a dividing between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So what are we doing? By that we're doing Tashlich, we're actually trying to connect and to come back to bring those days before the sin of Adam HaRishon. And that's the secret behind the Tashlich. That's where the Tashlich so important. Besides that we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're throwing the sin. This is one thing. That here we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're going to a place that there is water. They're saying like human being, crowning their king. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, today is your day. It's the day that you finish to create the world. The day that you finish to create human being. We crowning you as our king. You are our king. All of those, that's to help us, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write us and seal us in a book of life. And a book that is good life. And a book that is prosperity, a book of health, a book of wealth, a book that we all want good life for us, for the families, for the kids, for everyone, for every Jew in the world. And that's the secret behind Tashlich. And Be'ezrat Hashem, Rabotai, that we should all gonna be merit. Us and Kol Amo Bet Israel, wherever they are, all over the world, in Eretz Israel and all over the world, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have his compassion and will write us and will seal us in a book of good life, in a book of healthy life, in a book of prosperity, a book of wealth, everything for good, Be'ezrat Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write us and seal us for another year. And Be'ezrat Hashem, Not only that He's going to book us, He'll send us Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our day, that we should merit to see the building of Bet HaMikdash. And then we know that we rectified the sin of Adam Arishon. I hope that you enjoy the show. Rabotai, if you have any question regarding Tashlich, please ask question. Unmute yourself and ask question regarding Tashlich. I hope that helped you to understand what is Tashlich.
Hi, Rav.
Erev Tov, Stephen, how are you?
We are on
Sorry.
yourself, Rav. No, enjoy.
Thank you. My throat was dry. Sorry. Tom, thank you. Talk.
The question I want to ask, they say Yitzhak and Abraham went to until they were almost drowning.
Yeah, the water reached to the chin. The Midrash Tanhuma.
What about the other servants? Ishmael and
what does it say there? What does it say there? ויאמר אברהם אל עבדיו, שבו פה עם החמור. Abraham said to his servant, אמר לנעריו, שבו פה עם החמור. Sit here with the donkey. אני והנער נלכה, me and the child will go, ונשתחווה ונחזורה. You say it every morning in פרשת הקורבנות, נכון?
Yeah, נכון.
What did Abraham Avinu say? Abraham Avinu say to Ishmael and Eliezer. Ishmael, that was his son. He was the oldest son from Hagar.
Yeah.
Eliezer was his servant, Eved Abraham. Shvu po im hamor, sit here with the donkey. The Gemara there explain and the Mefarshim explain, Ama domeh lahamor, a nation that you comparable to a donkey. That's what they say.
Yeah.
What's the idea?
You gotta get that, yeah, I know that one.
That he left them there, and where did he go? He walked with Yitzhak Avinu to Har HaMoriah, Table Mount, Bet HaMikdash. That's when he done the Akedah. Beseder? Answer your question?
Okay. Answered. Then the other thing is, just as they almost drowned in Abraham and Yitzhak almost drowned, the same thing happened when the Jews were crossing the Yam Suf. The two people had to go in, and we had to be at the point where we said, God, if you don't do this, if you don't save us, there'll be no people.
Nachshon ben Aminadav, Mishevet Yehuda, he was the first to jump to the water, and then after him, all of his tribe follow him. He jumped into the sea of reeds, okay? And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw the ishtadlut. What it means, the ishtadlut, the personal effort, okay, is that they do, and then he split the sea. In the same case, here it was a test to Avraham Avinu and Yitzhak Avinu. If when the water gonna reach here, they're gonna turn back, and they say it's too deep, we don't want to get drowned, or they're gonna continue. Avraham Avinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if I carry on, I can't breathe. And then who's going to sanctify your name in this world? Not me and Yitzhak. That means that they done the personal effort to what? To sacrifice their own soul of Yitzhak Avinu in honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same like they done to the water.
An interesting thought when you're saying that also we're at the sea, so the waves want to engulf the world. So he said, but Hashem put one grain of sand.
That each wave was in a time that Bnei Israel stood in the sea of waves. What was each wave was 50 Amah.
That's right. They want to drown
the Jewish people. What I'm
going to say, what you said earlier on, that Hashem put the grains of sand on the earth to prevent it. So it means one. So just like in terms of kapora, one person who does a mitzvah can change the whole.
Absolutely.
Just like one grain of sand.
One grain of water. That's all. One grain of water.
One grain of sand. One grain of sand can stop.
Yeah, sorry, 1 grain of sand. What did I say? Grain of water. Sorry. Yeah, one grain of sand can stop that big wave that want to wash the world.
Yeah.
One mitzvah can change your decree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other question, Rabotai? Bechavod, who want to ask question?
Me.
Marky, how are you, Marky?
If I stand corrected, if I'm not mistaken, in our congregation, Mincha runs straight into Ma'ariv on Rosh Hashanah. Now, most of the congregants, if I recall correctly, because I'm not always here for Rosh Hashanah, I'm sometimes overseas, that we go to the old age home where there's a fish pond. And it's normally before Mincha. It's before Mincha. So, but you say you're supposed to say Tashlich after Mincha.
Yeah, so but it depends what time you daven Mincha. No, because there, I say Sha'a Asirit. Why Sha'a Asirit?
Okay, I understand that, but you keep saying after Mincha, after Mincha.
Why Sha'a Asirit? Because Sha'a Asirit is very close, very, very close to Ma'ariv. To Ma'ariv. So what they do, they daven Mincha a bit earlier. And then they do Tashlich, and then they go straight to Ma'ariv. At Yeshiva College, when you daven Mincha, you maybe have, if I'm not mistaken, 15, 20 minutes between Mincha and Ma'ariv, and that's the time that you should do Tashlich. But they don't do Tashlich at Yeshiva College. The custom is that everyone go and do it before or after. I know that when I used to go to Yeshiva College, because now I go to the Sfaradim for the last maybe 10, 15 years or even 20 years. But at the beginning, I remember that we used to go and do Tashlich. We actually used to go and do Tashlich before Mincha. We used to go, at the beginning, we used to go, I don't know if you remember, Mervyn Esnes used to have a big pool at the back. We used to go, all of us, he and the late Easy Miller, Lionel Stein, we used to go there. After that, I started going to Seringham Garden, by the Nashbar there. There's like a pond with koi fish. That's when we used to do it between Mincha and Ma'ariv quick and run back. But it was a very short time that you have to, there's 15 minutes, 10 minutes that you have break between Mincha and Ma'ariv that you have to push it. Yeah. The appropriate time that you do earlier, a bit earlier Mincha, you finish Mincha, you have at least 15, 20 minutes to say Tashlich, okay? And then you go back, okay? Some people even have a shi'ur, a quick 10, 15 minutes shi'ur, and then they go to Ma'ariv.
Yeah, but you're bound by the congregation. If they daven straight from Mincha to Ma'ariv.
So if you see that straight Mincha, if they go from Mincha to Ma'ariv, I agree with you. So then you're going to be clever. Do it before.
Okay.
Do it as close to Mincha
as possible.
Before Mincha.
Good. Thank you, Rav.
Beseder?
Good.
Pleasure. Any other question, Rabotai, regarding the subject of Tashlich? Chavod. Who want to ask questions? Ken, Chavod. How are you, Dwayne? How are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Baruch Hashem. I think you answered my question. Is a swimming pool just as good as like a pond?
Nothing wrong with that.
Is it?
Look, prefer that stream of water that taps, like water running, flowing water, yeah. But if there is not,
yeah.
If you have only a pool, you do it by the pool. Beseder?
Beseder.
Shukra. Thank you. Any other question, Rabotai, regarding the subject of Tashlich? Any question?
Yes, Rob. Good evening.
Oh, Erev Tov, Jeffrey, how are you?
Evening, everybody. How are you doing? Well,
Baruch
hope you're
Hashem,
good.
Yom Yom. Nice to hear from you. Yes, bechavod.
Thank you. Rabbi, you made it very clear that Tashlich is a custom. It's a custom. It's a custom to rectify, you said to erase, and to write us in the book of life. Now, does this mean this? Adam created a divide, which you said. By Tashlich, we bring back the days before the sin. We try to bring back the days before the sin. Is that correct?
We're trying to rectify the sin that Adam HaRishon done.
So the
It means
sin,
that
because
we're trying to reach before HaKadosh Baruch Hu kicked them out of Gan Eden. Before he sinned and before he kicked them out of Gan Eden.
so the Satan, it wasn't that Adam's sin brought Satan into the world.
No.
Because
No.
it was there already, wasn't
Why
he, with the
did
Nafesh?
No, Adam HaRishon is created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Yes.
He didn't bring him to the world. The Satan, Hazal comparing him to the snake, you remember?
Yes. Yes.
But what was the sin? You know what was the sin? And Nahash wanted Hava.
Yes.
He was jealous of Adam HaRishon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he told her that what was his sin? That he told her that HaKadosh Baruch Hu don't want you to understand how did he created the world. If you eat from the tree of knowledge, you will have that understanding. So he done here kfirah, and that was Avodah Zarah, Hazal explained.
Right.
And Adam HaRishon fell into it. So we're doing a rectification, number one, for Avodah Zarah, Shpichut Damim, all the three big sins.
Well,
that Adam HaRishon seduced Hava.
Yes.
And she seduced Adam.
Right.
You understand what's hiding behind it?
Yes.
So we're trying to do a rectification for all what Nahash seduced Hava, okay, that Avodah Zarah, that she listened to him. Number two, Shpichut Damim, murder. Why Shpichut Damim? By that Adam HaRishon eating from the tree of knowledge, he brought death to the world.
Yes.
Beseder?
Yes.
That's the rectification.
How can we bridge that divide?
Oh,
for our own
so
sins?
That's a different question.
Yes.
We
can do our sins, but because we cause a divide between us and Hashem. When we sin, we can understand that we can rectify, but
that
how can we rectify the other divide?
How can we rectify what Adam HaRishon's done? Yeah. That's your question.
Yes.
Yes. Very good question. Very good question. So Hazal explained that every human being in this earth have a spark from Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon created by who? By the Almighty. Hava been created from who? From Adam HaRishon. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu took a bone from him and created Hava. Said the Mefarshim that each Jewish person have a spark from Adam HaRishon. And each one of us, when we do the rectification, we're basically doing tikkun olam. What it means tikkun olam? Tikkun for Adam HaRishon.
Sure. Well, if everybody does it, it's very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah. That's the idea. That's why everyone, that when we're doing that, that's how all of us can rectify the soul of Adam HaRishon, the sin of Adam HaRishon. Because the soul of Adam HaRishon, it's all of us. We have spark of it.
Oh, so each of us has got a portion. We have each of a portion in that sin.
נכון,
the original
נכון,
sin, we've all got a portion. And by
נכון.
rectifying us ourselves, we are actually at the same time rectifying that portion of the sin which we're involved with Adam.
נכון, exactly.
Okay.
Why? Because the spark of our soul, it's from the
Sure.
each one of us is spark from the soul of Adam Arishon on us.
Very powerful. Thanks,
And we
Rob.
all from the descendants of Adam Arishon. Very good question. Shkoyach.
Thank you.
Bechavod. There is any other question? Bechavod.
It's Anthony, how are you?
Erev Tov, Antonio, how are you? Bechavod, Ken, Antonio.
Until
So
when
nice
can
to
you
hear.
do until when is the final day that you're allowed to do Tashlich?
Okay, so I repeat again. Lechatchila, you do on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. If it's fall on Shabbat, the Ashkenazim doesn't do. They can do it on the second day of Rosh Hashanah.
Yes.
If a person for some reason forgot who couldn't do Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah, he can do during the 10 days. That means Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, any weekday.
And not after Yom Kippur.
No, then everything is sealed.
Yeah,
We want to do rectification for what? Number one, for our sin, Anthony. Number two, we want to do rectification for the creation. So as soon after Rosh Hashanah, and a weekday, to do Tashlich. בסדר? You understand me?
Yes.
יופי, יופי.
Also, the
Thank
other
you.
question I want to ask is what is the custom that because we should go ideally where there fish?
Okay, so we explained that the Baal HaLibushin, Rabbi Mordechai Yaffe, explained that we think like we like fish. The fish in the water think that they're free. We think that we're free in this world. We can do whatever we want. And the moment that the fishermen throw the net into the sea, the fish can be caught. It's to remind us when you look at the fish, they think that they're free. They're not free. There is a fisherman that can catch them. The same applicable to us. There's the Almighty, that He created the world, that He tell us, you think that you're free in this world, you can do whatever you want, you have the freedom of choice, you can do whatever you want. But just remember, as quick that you're born, He can catch us. Chas v'shalom.
And
He
also,
can catch
is
enemy.
in something about the ayin hora that the fish are not affected by the ayin?
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's brought in the time of the flood.
Yeah.
From all the animals in the world, the only animal that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't wipe off, which one it was? The fish. Why? Because they was inside the water.
Yeah.
And inside the water, they can't sin. Why? Because there is no Ain Hara lo sholetet b'hem.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's why you mitzvah to eat on Shabbat, to eat fish. Why is a mitzvah to eat fish on Shabbat? The Mekubalim explain. And I think it's brought Sefer HaGilgulim, if I'm not mistaken, okay? Don't hold me into it. It's not something I'm not focusing. That there is neshamot shel tzadikim mitgalgelot badag. What does it mean? A neshama, a soul of a tzaddik get rectified, get reincarnate in a fish.
In a fish.
But that
Wow.
you're eating on Shabbos and you say the brocha and you're eating it, you're actually rectifying that soul and you're doing the tikkun for him.
Wow. Interesting. Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Sha'ar HaGilgulim לרבנו הארי, או לרמה מפנו, Sha'ar HaGilgulim, I think, לרבנו הארי הקדוש, בספר הגלגולים לרבי עזריה, רבי מנחם עזריה, הרמה מכאן. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
So that's the idea of eating fish on Shabbat, and that we don't see the fish, that's what they get multiplied against.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Any other question, Rabotai, regarding that subject of Tashlich?
Just onwards, just a comment, can I ask?
Sure.
So basically, so the fish, which were saved from extinction because they didn't participate in all the bad things that took place in the world.
The sin of the time of the flood, yes.
Of the flood. So basically, we are compared to the fish because our intrinsic nature is not to be like, is to be like the fish, is to be like the fish, and not the exterior, which we are now trying to rectify.
How do you find that? What is one of the symbol? Be'ezrat Hashem, next week, I'm going to go with you through the symbol that we do in Rosh Hashanah. What is one of the things that we do in Rosh Hashanah? So there is a mahloket, Gemara Orayot and Gemara Kritot. There Hazal say, le'me'achle and the le'mahze. What does it mean? One of the opinion is to look at the symbol. One opinion is to eat. One thing is, what do we say? Sheniye lerosh velo lezanav. Nachon? That we read on this parsha, this week parsha. What is the idea? One of the things, if you don't have a head of a lamb, what do you bring in? A head of a fish. Nachon? There is other opinion that say a head of a chicken.
Yeah. You're frozen, Rav. Something's happened. You're frozen.